Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Prince Magnum channel, where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to Picking Up the Pieces. Um, it's getting harder. You know, um, I have to wait patiently for everyone to do what they're doing. To continue to get the word out for the authorities to listen. And I keep asking myself, I'm doing everything I can. Am I doing everything imaginable? Have I done everything possible? I keep asking myself, is there a stone I've left unturned to uh, to get my wife in the position where she's, got to listen to the voice of reason, you know? Because despite my feelings towards the Beaverton, Oregon Police Department right now, I know how I feel about them, but I also know well enough that if anything was to happen to her, happen to my wife, they'd be stuck with they would be stuck right now with and even in the future, they would be stuck with the consequences that they did nothing. And I know full well that they wouldn't want that. They don't want those consequences. No police officer, good, bad, or indifferent, wants you know, the fact that they failed at their job on their head, or that maybe they couldn't do something, or feeling power, that sort of thing. You know, you never want the actions of your decisions to be the reason why somebody got themselves hurt. What's going on, Grave Taker? So that's kind of what we're talking about today. Have I done everything I can? And right now I know the authorities have now got this information. They have no excuse at this point not to make action because the information is out there and enough people I know have been sharing this out on every possible social media platform and contacting them. I know by now the phones have probably rung off the hook for what, the last 3 4 days now, and them sitting there going, "This is a lot bigger than we thought." You know, the very first video that we did, where we started talking about, giving out names and things like that to, with the intent of, getting Princess Faye's parents brought to justice, giving out, even so far as yesterday, giving out my name, her sister's name, her name. We have taken it to a whole new level of holy crap. You know, and I've never really kept my name fully away from the public. It's one of those things that I've even given my full name out before, but not to this degree. It's always been about, if I've said it, it's like, well, Prince Magnum's a real person. This is my real name, and that sort of thing. And you know, uh, it's always been part of sober talk. But I've always asked people to respect the fact that hey, my real name is my real name. Uh, for the purposes of AA, I continue to ask everyone, even for Princess Faith's sake, don't use her real name in the channel, but we have to get the information out that what's happening to her through her problems with drugs and alcohol and the fact that she's just not mentally well anymore. She's not able to make the decisions for her own life right now. Um, and as a, you know, there's two types of husbands in this world. There's two types of irate husbands, if you will. There's the ones that want control and want to do bad things and things like that, and that's not the case here. Then there's the ones that that genuinely do love their other half. Um, and I know a lot of times, sometimes some folks have a hard time, telling the difference because a lot of times it looks a lot the same. But in this particular case, I mean, it's almost a no-brainer because I mean, you would think, that sort of thing. Um, but here we are now, you know. We've put the pressure on in a way that that hopefully, you know, what I'm really hoping for, she gives me the call. Okay, I didn't realize that you were going to go to these links. What do I need to do? You know, and say, look, you know, this is a lot deeper than I thought it was. I'm sorry. You know, and have that meaningful conversation and let her know it's time to come home because what you're doing to yourself, you're going to take yourself into a dark world. And I too used to. I'm hanging in there. I keep asking myself, is there anything else left to do? We've done everything we can, and we're kind of waiting for. I almost half expect at this point, um, you know, getting that phone call, you know, uh, that your wife's been assaulted. You know, her father did it, sort of thing. I hate to say it, but I'm almost waiting for it, and I feel I've done everything I can at this point. There's not too much left other than talking to the right people within the mental health community. You know, um, I know some folks have had a hard time with me having to make some of these decisions. I even had a conversation with someone yesterday. They didn't feel I was doing the right thing, and I said, "You got to understand from where I'm at. Um, this is what we call an intervention." I said, you know, and sometimes you have to flex rules. You have to bend rules, and sometimes you may even break a few. And I said, I'm not breaking any laws by any means. And he said, well, no, you're smarter than that. I said, but I'm bending a lot of rules, and a lot of rules I don't like. And I remind everyone that when you start talking real love, that this is not a love of convenience. This is, I will go to the ends of the earth for you, love. And that sort of love does still exist today. It's sometimes hard to find, you know. Um, but there's even a person right now that has even made some interesting advances, and it's like, look, at this point, obviously, we need to talk because I appreciate what you're saying, but that's not where we want to go with all this. The objective right now is again to get Princess Faye home and get her safe. Okay, that's the main objective right now. Get her home, get her safe. Okay, and then get her. The next step after that is talk to the treatment center over in Farmington. Talk to them, see if I can get her over there, get her cleaned out because she's not going to be able to accept any sort of therapy or anything with the chemicals in her system. She's not going to be able to do that right now. And then once she gets her system cleaned out, then we can get her out. And the next step is obviously talking to them. Do we need full hospitalization for her therapy? Because it's going to take about 28 days to get everything out of her system, anyways. Then the next step, um, leaving it up to the professionals. Obviously, I'm going to have to work my ass off, or get something to, get something, as far as like a disability or something for us, while she gets well, so I can stay close at hand. Because obviously, I'm going to need to be there. I'm going to need to be there. Once we get to that stage, uh, in which from what I've seen and knowing what I know, and then having a few mental breakdowns myself, because dear old Prince Magnum's had to be hospitalized for his mental issues a total of 4 times over the years. I don't talk about it a whole lot because I come from an era that that's kind of embarrassing. Even though today it doesn't mean anything, it's still you got to remember the mindset that I live in. You know, So as far as how I'm going, I'm hanging in there. But again, I want everyone to continue to share this out to everyone you know. Get as many people aware, that basically we have a very sick person on our hands, and we have a gem, not just to me, but a gem of a person who um, goes far beyond. It has probably helped more people than she knows. Her work within art, her her abilities to I mean just the sheer amount of support and through the things that she's done with me, we've reached countless people. We've given people hope. We've given people strength. We've probably averted death for many people, and now she's fallen into the trappings and and keeps telling herself that, oh, right now, if I know my wife, she's sitting there saying, I can't believe he's doing this. He knows I've made the right decision. No, you haven't. You went right back into the arms of your abusers, the people that sent you into me in the condition that you were in. I was just blind and made them in some ways made it worse, even though I was trying to help. You know. Thanks, Megan. I'm hanging in there. I keep asking myself if I've done everything imaginable. Last few days we've given out information that I never wanted to give out. You know, but sometimes you have to go to those lengths. How much do you love a person? You know, and y'all got to understand. I'd go to the ends of the world for that woman. You know, um, I come from a totally different time frame, and I've sat there and had to ask myself if I'm making the right decision giving out this information. I had to ask myself that. And, I keep asking myself, is this the right thing to do? And even yesterday, I even had a friend question why I was doing this. He didn't agree with me. And I explained to him, I said, sometimes you have to go to any lengths. I said, how far are you willing to go to the ends of the earth for someone? I said, we often say it. Fresh out of the Joe, there's always going to be I know how that chasing this hard, and I understand some people don't know how to handle that. But here's the thing, and I appreciate that, and honestly, you know, um, when it's positive like that, I always appreciate the other. I guess you could say the other side of the tracks. Okay, so I always appreciate that a great deal, and and I understand what you're trying to say, but hey, Spirit Wolf, Megan, I really do hope she does see the what we're trying to do here today. Um, well, I think a lot of it right now is, I think right now, mostly it's the drugs doing the talking for her right now. She's not well, okay? And you all got to understand, she's in that manic depression. From what I had, when I talked to the professional a few nights ago, and we were discussing the whole thing of possibly manic depression, and then when you throw in other substances, if you will, you know she's mixing and matching substances including alcohol and prescription medications, and then you got the marijuana on top of it. you know you can't self-medicate like that, okay? And I know this from working in the medical field for 13 years. 11 of those years I was a CNA CMT, and you seen all sorts of crazy stuff in that time frame. Again, I actually seen someone who was addicted to Tylenol. So anybody could get addicted to anything. So when you look at it from that aspect, um, this might be, this is kind of expected where she gets this quiet. Now she might decide to crack at this point. Hey, it's getting serious. He's, Okay, here's the situation I have with that, and you guys are right. Hey, Kuko. Okay, United States laws are sometimes stupid. When you're in a situation like this, basically, we're starting the paperwork. And Kuko, you're under I don't know if you've kept up with the last few days. Basically, we found out that she's fallen into, mm, you could be onto something there, but we're also throwing in the fact that we've just found out since about a week ago now, almost a week ago, that she fell into the world of drugs and alcohol too. So with mental illness, serious mental illness, drugs, alcohol, and then with the possibility of hurting herself, being in the arms around a family that's abused her before, and including her father who sexually assaulted her while when she was 14. Dude, she was 14, brother. Really, you know, it's one of those things, that we're now in a situation where it's crisis mode at this point. When you look at it from the standpoint of the dangers that she's in right now, exactly. So now we have to deem it almost as a situation she's unable to make decisions for herself. She's not mentally well enough to make decisions for herself. Okay. And then let me put it to you like this, Kuko, because you and I go way back now. Let me kind of put it in this sort of light, and this will kind of simplify it. She transported a prescription medication without having a prescription, and we believe it may have been Adderall. Okay. Now, in the state of Missouri, if you are caught with Adderall without a prescription, it's 5 to 7 years, and it is a serious felony charge. Now, the moment that she thought it was okay to transport this medication across state lines without a prescription, it's now a federal offense. Where in your right mind is this okay? And then doing it with an animal in the car. Oh, okay. So you've been trying to keep up with it. So we're now dealing with a situation where, a person who is in the right mind wouldn't say this is not okay. To her, this was okay. This is not okay. She thought that somewhere in her head, she thinks this is okay. No, it's not. Then, if she's transporting any possible marijuana, there are still some states it's completely illegal still. Most states have moved over to where it's prescription only. Most states have, but in some states it's still completely illegal. So she did this with now two substances in the car. Okay, and even if she's not using it, the police would always look at it with the intent to distribute. So yeah, Galaxy it could have gotten seriously sick and things like that, could have gotten hurt. So we also have, so where is this okay? It's not. You and I would say this is not okay because we're of the right mind. But we have someone who's so seriously sick that now we have a situation. So if she thinks that this is okay, that she didn't do anything, knowing that there are laws against this, because I talk about this stuff. Yeah. So the husband in this case, of course he's irate. Of course he's scared because how long before she makes a decision or puts herself in a position where she seriously could hurt herself? Or worse yet, her father, who we've already talked about, could easily sexually assault her. So that's the big concern right now. And I know a lot of folks is like, wow. So, and let me tell you all, okay, with drug addiction and alcoholism, and because I have experience with all of that, when that, hey, what's going on, Raven? Good to see you, bud. So when you're talking about what I'm talking about, a person gets locked away into a horrible world, like I'm describing. They get locked away and they can't, it's like my alcoholism, right? You know, I'm sorry, I'm really feeling the effects of this stress right now, to be honest with you guys, because I'm scared for her. I worry. Exactly, Danny. And it's like, if the authority, I know how the police departments in this area work, well, in the United States work. If we get enough heat going, okay, and the police department will basically start, yeah, she's got to hit rock bottom. What the objective of a lot of these streams have been is trying to move that bottom up a little bit closer to her. Raven, it's hard to get over on to save the world right now. Exactly. Fresh out of the jail, you're right on the money now. Well, I think what it's going to take is for the police department to actually begin doing their job. Now the thing of it is, um, and see, Kuko, you're one of those hard drinkers where you figured out that hey, this is okay, but this isn't okay. You came to your senses. Now there's some of us who are more extreme, like me, where if I pick up one drink, I go into the world of where Prince Magnum is no longer Prince Magnum. I'm something horrible. Because I still suffer from PTSD. My thoughts get pretty dark, and it makes the mood swings and the depression a lot worse. So because of that, my sobriety is when I say my sobriety is super important to my well-being. If I take one drink, it takes me into a world I don't want to go into. But then on top of that, then I'm stuck with the compulsion to continue to self-destruct. So I'll stay in that world. The alcoholism becomes the catalyst for staying in that world. It's really horrible to watch me go down those roads, and I would hope no one would ever have those experiences, because it's horrible. It took me 3 years of sobriety before I could look at myself and say I love you, and I can love me for who I am today. I know I'm a good person. I know that I can help people. I know I serve a purpose to my higher power. I'm doing my best. Night Raven, you asked a solid question. I've logged on to save the world twice, and I can't do it. Okay, thank you, Danny. Because that's when Princess Faye left me, was in the middle of a save the world stream. So I'm having a hard time. Do I think it would be best? Honestly, okay. I'm gonna tell y'all a story. Okay. And this story is super important. This is important to my sobriety. It's important to a lot of who I am today. And I've told this story before. It's just going to hit me a little harder right now because of my emotional well-being itself. Because I'm doing my best to hold it together. Back before I got sober, and y'all have to remember, I was a very violent, angry person. But underneath it all, I hated me. I didn't like who I was. I had become everything I did not want to be in the bottom of a bottle. And the drinking had started again. We'll get to all of that. We'll get to all that, Megan. But you're on point. Here's the truth. When it all hit the wall, and I had an ex-girlfriend pack up our two daughters, well, ex-fiance pack up our two daughters and take off. Everybody, including my family, had kind of given up hope on me. Everybody gave up hope on me. Honestly, no one thought I was going to pull through. Everyone gave up hope except for one person. And that was my friend Tanya. Um, I was sitting there on my couch with a loaded 357 Magnum, getting ready to end it all, and she somehow knew that I needed help. And as you know, I had cocked the hammer, tilted back my chin, and I'm going to tell y'all, I had already knew that if I was going to do this, I was going to do it right. I had loaded it with MagTech, that 357 with MagTech Guardian Golds, 125 grain, jacketed hollow points. The rounds were so powerful, leaving the muzzle, you had about a 12-inch fireball, okay, that you could still see in the daytime. So it was a hot load. Yeah, kind of. You might say that it's an origin story that led me to who I am today. So, which that is maybe sometime we ought to give an origin story where the name came from and things like that. We'll have to do that at some point. But what ends up happening is I cock the hammer, I tilted my chin back, the phone rings. Now, in AA meetings in the past, I've joked and said, guy can't even kill himself without the phone ringing, that reference to the shower. And it was my friend Tanya. She says, what are you doing? I said, I'm sitting here on the couch. She said, what are you really doing? And then I confessed everything. And like any good non alcoholic friend, she chewed me out for a half hour. But in chewing me out for about a half hour, she says, you need to go get help. You're not well anymore. Here's the name of a treatment center. Please promise me you'll go get help. She said, I don't want to lose you. You are special. You are important. There's something special for me to have called you before you did this. There's something important you're supposed to do. Okay. I listened. I called a treatment, I got help, and they led me to Alcoholics Anonymous. We're all familiar with that story. We all know that story now. And that's a very powerful story. But for the first month and a half of my sobriety, yeah, absolutely. For the first month and a half of my sobriety, Tanya was there. Yeah, you're on. And in that month, I really got to see what kind of a woman Tanya was. Now, at the time, she was going through a divorce. She was starting to go through the divorce, early stages, like paperwork stuff, what they were going to do about the kids, because they'd come to the conclusion they'd grown apart. Her and her husband. And her husband's a really good guy. He's a really nice guy. He really is. And he even watched me go off the deep end and everything. But he was one of the ones that he didn't know where to begin, kind of giving up hope on me. But Tanya didn't. Tanya didn't. All my friends were like, "I'll give him a week. He'll be back to his crazy old self, and he'll be out of his head again." You know. So any support that I was getting from them was just lip service. We're getting to that. So in that month, the first month of my sobriety, I began to have feelings. Now, I was still fresh out of a relationship, so I didn't think it was the right time. And at the same time, I was afraid to tell her. She was also kind of seeing my friend on the side, that sort of thing. So she was the only one that stood by my side. And there was times that she would, and yesterday I even got reminded of this too, to remember to be myself, to laugh and cut up and hang out with you guys, and, to continue to be my old self in all of this, because I was hurting pretty bad. And she reminded me, hey, don't forget to laugh. Don't forget to be you. So I really got to see what kind of a person she was. As a matter of fact, even goes deep. There was quite a few times she held me when I was going through withdrawals. The pain was real, the pain of the withdrawals. And there was even one friend of mine, when he's seen it, he's like, oh, just give it up to God. Just give it up to God. When he's seen the withdrawals, he's like, I did not know what that looked like. He's like, I am so sorry. He's like, I thought that, he's like, I know you've been giving it to God. He's like, to the God of your understanding. He said, and to see you in that kind of pain, he said, it was real, man. To see you go through that and to see someone have to hold you while you were in pain from the drinking. He said, I don't know what you're supposed to get out of this. He said, but all I could do was pray for you. And Tanya was the one who was holding me when he seen it. And this guy had an amazing story himself. I ended up having feelings for her. Well, the last week of her life was kind of a mystery in itself and deserves its own video. But what ends up happening is, sober man talks me into going and doing my, my fourth step. And I started kind of dilly dallying because I knew if I did a fourth step, I had to do a fifth step, and I was scared of it. I was scared to face who I was. And in the process of that, sober man, he convinced me to do it, and I said, I'll do it. Let me make a phone call first. I called up Tanya and started confessing some of the feelings. I just didn't say the words. I'm in love with you. I'm madly in love with you. Well, goes on. Friday night rolls around. She's in the hospital with what looks like pneumonia. Now, it's still a mystery, okay? It's still a mystery to this day, but I think you all know where this is going. Saturday rolls around. And, it looked like she was getting better. She was talking to the friend of mine that she was dating and says, I need to talk to Prince Magnum, something important. So, because I don't know if I'm out of the woods yet. I don't think I'm quite out of the woods yet. And said it's important. So I actually told work to fuck off, and I got dressed up, got on some really nice clothes. Somewhere in the apartment, I've still got the nice silk shirt that I wore. This nice button down dragon, solid black shirt with white oriental dragons on it. This nice looking necklace. I had my hair done up right. Had on these nice dress slacks, dress boots that zipped up the side, looked kind of like cowboy boots, but they were actually military surplus check military dress boots. Going in there all duded up like this with a dozen of roses. I was going to tell her, I'm madly in love with you. I was stopped at the door for ICU, intensive care unit, for those that don't know what that is. And I got told her sister had to stop me, and they said, you can't go back. Why not? Tanya's in a coma. She was sitting up in bed, and I had to have her sister repeat it. I was like, what? Tanya's in a coma. Come to find out, she was sitting up to have lunch, and she tells the nurse, I don't feel right. And nurse is like, well, what's wrong? And then that's when it all began. I met her dad that day. And from what I understand, she had died twice on that table. And they brought her back every time. She was in a coma. And Sunday comes around, they lost her one more time. And come Monday morning, her dad had to sit us down and say, if she goes again, we're going to let her go. The doctors basically say that if she goes again, we're going to have to let her go. because she's not going to, if she was ever to pull through this anyways, she would be a vegetable for the rest of her life. The brain damage is real. Um, I went to work after getting to see her one last time. I had to go to work, but they let us, the three closest friends, I was one of them, go back, and I stood on her left side, kind of where a husband would. I took her hand. She was so cold. All the tubes sticking out of her. She was just a shell at that point. She was buried with one of my 1 month coins. Somehow I ended up with two of them. And I told her wherever she goes, whatever happens, I wouldn't have gotten that 1 month coin without her. Went to work, 6 o'clock p.m. My director of nursing came back, said, "I'm glad you're sitting down. Prince Magnum, I have bad news. Tanya just passed away." She passed away before I had a chance to tell her I was in love with her. But if there's a lesson that we could get out of this story today, well, there's always the lesson that I tell everyone that, I made it. I'm still sober today. But there's another lesson that we can take from this. She didn't give up on me because she knew what I was worth. She believed in me. And because she didn't turn her back on me like everybody else did, I haven't given up on my Princess Faye. I haven't given up. She loved me enough to not give up on me. And she didn't even hear the words out of my mouth. She does. Doesn't mean I couldn't have kept going, Kuko. It doesn't mean I couldn't keep going, doing what I was doing. It took someone's love to remind me I was worth something. So when I come on here and say, share this out to everyone you know, get the word out, it's not anything other than I have not given up. You understand now? Circumstances might be different, but it's the same. It would be selfish if I gave up. I love that woman more than you guys can ever imagine. We haven't even developed words for the amount, for how much I love that woman. To save someone's life that you know can help so many others is never a waste. And in the face of what I know that woman can do, my life is insignificant knowing how much that woman can do in this world. And that's what we're trying to take away right now. If we generate enough word, basically there's an old saying, and I know this almost sounds religious, but this is more of a spiritual thing. Darkness cannot exist where there is too much light. Evil likes to exist in the shadows. Darkness likes to exist in the shadows. And if you shed enough light on it, it can't exist. If we create enough light on this subject, the family can't enable her anymore, and they can't put her at risk anymore. Remember, folks, that's my beloved wife. We have to keep getting the word out. We have to keep getting people to, you know, we have to do what it takes. So when I say this is an intervention, using the tools and the skills that I know available to me, by creating this atmosphere of you can't hide from what is going on with you anymore, and these people will hurt you. And by creating that aura, I can only hope that she'll come to her senses as soon as possible so we can get her home, get her safe, and get her the help she needs. Because this is a woman that I believe with all of my heart and soul can help so many people. Right now, I think she's living off of her family right now. Her mom wants to create the aura for her that she could be the creepy kid in the basement. And sometimes that is what some people need. That's the life that they got. But this is not our Princess Faye. Our Princess Faye is, well, what I have actually been starting to do is I'm actually got someone who's actually helping behind the scenes right now, starting to probe and push paperwork that may possibly get it to the where I'll actually have to go up and get her. And even for a while, I may actually have to stay at home with her and that sort of thing. Because here in Missouri, you can actually, yeah, we've already discovered that her father's already sexually assaulted her. So we already know that what her family's capable of. And to my knowledge, her mother is fully aware of this and doesn't care. But her mom wants to create that aura of this bad situation, basically to have someone to control. She wants to control one of her kids. Does not care about Princess Faye's well-being because she's messed up herself. Her sister is a drug addict as well, from what I understand. So she obviously won't care, the way that she needs to care because she's sick. Remember, folks, drug addiction doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you sick. Basically, take these streams where we truly begin the intervention and share them out to everyone you know. And in the process of sharing these out, what we're able to do is to get the information. And I've even gone so far as to give my own real name in previous streams, and to give my wife's real name. Okay, so what we're looking to do is to get where people are actually exactly fresh out of the Joe. Exactly. So what we're trying to do right now is to create an aura of where the authorities, they may not necessarily press charges because at this point, they don't want to be responsible for someone hurting themselves. So they'll create an aura where it becomes difficult. Because I know how the laws work. What they'll do is they'll start pulling over her dad. You were doing this when in reality, most likely not. And they'll start creating that aura of, we know what you're doing and it's not okay. And by creating this aura of, we know what you're doing, it's not okay, because then it'll start threatening everything else. And then by doing that to her sister and to her mom, and even doing it to Princess Faye, we know what's going on and it's not okay. It'll create that aura of, I can't do what I'm doing. It'll create basically you start cutting off how do I put it? Basically you create the aura of, now we know what's going on. And the police will try to find ways within the confines of the law. They may even do searches. And it creates that aura of, and if I know Princess Faye at this point, it'll get scary. And it's like, I can't live like this. And we'll see that phone call happen. Because I will tell you all, with the amount of time that we've been together, she's even openly admitted when she came here, she was hoping that I was some sort of psychotic serial killer and that I would do the job for her. Well, she's kept that mindset, hoping that something else would happen because of the fact that she can't do it herself. And she won't do it herself because, what if I do it wrong, sort of thing. So if we could create that aura of, we know what you're doing and it's not okay, she'll have to listen. And that's what we've been trying to do. So continue to get the word out. And we have people now as far away as the UK, even working in radio doing this, to save my wife's life. And if she's watching right now, honey, Miranda, sweetheart, Dennis loves you. This is what it's always been about. I know I've screwed up in our marriage. I know I've failed you as a husband at times. And I did not know how bad it was. I didn't understand. And I am sorry. Let me help you. Let me help you. If I didn't love you, I would have gave up, would have moved on, said the hell with you, but I didn't. Because you mean that much to me. If after this you decide you don't want to be with me anymore, after we get you the help, if you don't want to be with me anymore, I will understand. But my main objective is to make sure that you have a chance for happiness, even if it's without me. I want the best for you. Let me help you. Because where you're at, they're not going to help you. They're going to hurt you. And I know this. You've told me this. You've told me this yourself. I'm not saying anything that's made up. You told me this stuff yourself. I'm sorry I failed you in a lot of ways. I've screwed up. You screwed up bad. I just didn't know. We both got our hang-ups, and even if I've got to get the help too, because I'm probably going to need it after this. Just give me a call. But if I have to go to any length to keep doing this every day, I will do it because you are my world. You are that special. Tanya never gave up on me. I haven't given up on you. This world needs Princess Faye. And I need you to be okay. By any means necessary, this is still an intervention. And I know some of you have had a hard time watching me go through this, but I've not given up on her. I hope you all haven't given up on her either. That's just it. We'd been having problems for a little while, but it seemed like when she started working the night shift, and see, there's an old saying in AA, don't get too hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. HALT, okay? That's the acronym that we use in AA. Don't get too hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Well, she was, drinking on occasion. She'd learned to moderate, but it seemed like the moment she got too tired, it became a problem again. And there's some of us in AA that will moderate for a while, but then we fall off. And she started hanging out with this guy named Will on the night shift. And I don't think they did anything. He didn't seem like he was too interested in anything other than just staying messed up. And that's kind of what we were dealing with. And he started giving her basically street drugs. And I didn't know it until it was already too late. And it was through, seeing a bottle of pills that I didn't recognize. I said, well, what is this? And I'd been out of the medical field since 2011. I haven't worked behind a med cart in that long. So it's, medication changes a lot. So in her particular case, I didn't recognize it because it's been many years. She said it was something for when she got anxious and her stomach was hurting. I didn't put two and two together. Well, maybe it's something like a prescription Prilosec or something, and it's been so long, it's a generic type that you can get through prescription, because I know they sell it over the counter, but I didn't, I know if they still sell it over the counter, there's still a prescription version out there. Okay, I'll buy that. But then, even though it's still Prilosec, you still have to have a prescription for it because it's the prescription version sort of thing. But I thought, okay, this is not okay. I said, so maybe you need to talk to a doctor about this. So she said, oh, okay, well, we'll consider that. She started seeing a therapist. And then all of a sudden she says, well, we can't afford this. We've got insurance. You've got insurance. What's the problem? We'll jockey around. I said, I'll pull together the extra cash. I'll go freaking, walking the streets and, collecting cans so you can go. Because if you're getting better, then, we need to keep doing it. No, 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 no. I said, I know if I ask the community, for the extra cash, because of the channel, the donations will come. We'll use the channel to help you get the help you need, whatever. No, 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 no. I think they were onto the drug use. Is what it looks like. And I even discussed that with so already the signs and symptoms were there. I didn't realize to the degree because she, when she would say, well, then we had this meltdown that I don't know if, I don't know how I feel about you fucked up, and everything. And we'd actually had a couple days where it was like, it was good. It was positive. We were taking time for each other. We were making time for each other. It was wonderful. Well, then I said, I got to save the world tonight. I said, I know you got to work. Well, come find out she'd been planning this shit behind my back. Okay. And I know. And so at first I thought, okay, we could fix this. We could fix this. And then by Monday night, I'm hearing about drug use and started, talking to people, and they're like, no, brother. One of her friends was sitting there, one of our friends was like, no, she was doing pot behind your back. And did you know about the drinking? Well, I knew about that. And we already know you don't mix those two anyways, because it causes some crazy shit for some people. And then I went back to, wait a minute. She had the bottle of pills on her desk that I seen. Oh shit. Now we've got a whole nother situation. I didn't know exactly what it was at that point. And when I described the pill to the professional, she was like, my friend Midnight Cool, she's like, oh, we got a problem here. That sounds to me like generic Adderall. She's like, I would have to see the pill up close, but that's what it sounds like to me. And if she's suffering from manic depression, taking Adderall, doctors won't prescribe that to someone with manic depression. It'll send them off the deep end. Here we are. So now we have someone who's, and she was sitting there saying that she was even taught, she was even openly admitting through all of this that she was considering, that she was hurting herself again. She was cutting on herself. Self-mutilator, did alcohol, person who's going to hurt themselves And the police department up there did, I did call, told them, and they know the whole situation, but they're not doing anything because they think that I'm just some crazy irate husband. Well, yeah, for obvious reason, you dipshits. So that's where we're at on all this. You know, so it wasn't, like like a lot of relationships, you find out sometimes that they had a secret life. Her secret life was drugs and alcohol and cutting on herself and everything. And a lot of this didn't start coming to light until the last minute. And she actually had packed up in the middle of the stream because when my headset's on, I can't hear. And then she does all of this. It's real. It's real. So, like I said, I fucked up in our marriage, and she's got every right to be angry with me on that. I had fucked up. But where I fucked up the most in all of this is I failed in basically saying, look, you're not well, and pushing the issue of her getting the help she needs. And I know if I would have pushed the issue saying, someone's got to be with her 24/7. And I will tell you all, she's actually been worse since her head went through the window of our 96 Mustang, the original project car for this channel. True story. Her head went through the window. You know, the car was jostling her around, and if you know how a Mustang's built, it's compact in there anyways. Her head slammed into the driver's window and shattered it. And she's been worse there too. Eventually, she will go. They're thinking that she'll lose her hearing. She's had problems with her hearing, and it's been progressively getting worse. But she's been, so there. We don't know the extent of all, with everything else, and then that, and we don't know. But I know she needs help. And saving one life is never a waste, because that one life could turn into thousands. And I know she's already helped countless people. So we don't know to the degree. We just know that we got to save her. I'm hoping the nightmare ends soon. I guess you could say, Kuko, to answer your question, I'm not going to lie. I did fuck up once a long time ago when we were having problems then, and I made the mistake of, uh, of cheating on her. That was a one-time deal. And I will never do that again. We worked through that. As a matter of fact, the story is actually here on this channel where I did it. But I did it as, we were talking about another couple. So if you were to actually go back in time here on the channel, it's been 3, almost 4 years ago when I talked about it. And I can't remember if it was an In Your Face or Surviving Romance, but it was literally titled, I don't have a title for this. Literally titled just like that. And I fucked up. But the couple that we named in there was actually Princess Faye and I. And basically, I outed myself in a way because I needed to talk about how I fucked up. And basically said, everybody's at fault on this. Not just the couple, but for, the other people. So I always promised an update on that video, but I guess this is it. That was a one-off. Never again. I won't make that mistake again. She deserves the best. So I'm not denying the fact that I didn't I screwed up. And we'd worked past that, but it was like when she fell into the world of drugs, everything was my fault again. I'm okay with that. But I know that was the drugs and the alcohol and your mental illness, at its worst. Because all of them were working together to tear you apart. So here we are, trying to save you, So I ask that everyone, and even if you want to share this out in your streams, for those of you who've got channels and things like that, if you want to share it out in your streams and things like that, please do so. We have to bring her home. We have to save her because she could help so many people. My wife is a true gem, a special one. She's a mother of two beautiful children. And despite all the problems that we've had there, she's a good woman. She's an amazing woman. I don't give up. I haven't given up hope on her, and I won't. When do you give up hope on somebody? When they're 6 feet under and you're shoveling dirt in their face. That's when the hope ends. Two of my kids are grown. Two of my kids are grown. Princess Faye actually came to me at the age of 18. We knew each other before then, and we were good friends. And when she came here, I realized that she was my one and only. I knew it. I knew it. When I laid eyes on her, there's this cute, petite little girl that was all grown up, I guess you could say. And just the smile. You knew she was the one. And I've always, I'll tell you now, honest goodness truth, I actually prefer my women older. I know that sounds crazy. And it's like, how the hell? I prefer my women older, because, usually the older ones, they get it, Prince Mag, I'll just say it like this. There's some of us in recovery that found that some things are perfectly okay as long as you have a willing partner or two. We'll leave it there. But so usually I don't get with I don't prefer the younger ones. But I will say that when I laid eyes on her, I knew she was the one. I knew it. She was everything. I will do whatever it takes to make sure she's safe. If after we get her straightened out, then by all means, if she wants to leave and go, strike it out on her own, at least I'll know she's doing it with a clear head and a clear mind because she deserves that much. For a lot of you now, hearing how deep the love really is, I know for a lot of you, it's like I never knew anyone could love that deep still. It does still exist. It is a real thing. And anyone can find love like that. And maybe you already have. Maybe you have. But I will tell you that this is the type of love that runs so deep. You'll go to any lengths. Any lengths. And that's what this is all about. For the last week, you guys have got to see what Prince Magnum is like, being real, being open, and sharing beyond the scope. Because a lot of times I know sometimes, y'all will hear the comedy and everything, and if you will, there's really a couple of different versions of me. There's what you see on camera, and that sort of thing. And then there's and then who I am off camera. And, amongst, friends and, that sort of thing, coworkers and family. But then there's the other side, who I really am. And you guys have got to see that real humanity. What's up, Chairman? Good to see you. You guys have got to see that real humanity in me. That deep, passionate side of Prince Magnum. What makes me human. You guys have got to see what it looks like beyond the scope of the channel. Maybe one of these days I can get back to doing get back to just being, the goofy Prince Magnum on camera. But for right now, I've got to be real with you guys. I've got to be honest with you guys. One of the things that I also heard was that people like the drama and everything, but this goes beyond just drama. You know, I think a lot of folks out here now starting to see that this is deeper than drama. This is deep, this is an actual loving, caring husband. This is the side y'all don't get to fully see on camera. You guys just knew it existed, but you never got to see it. Continue to keep sharing it out. And for those of you, again, who want to reach out and show your support and things like that, my name is Dennis Pohl. Last name spelled Pohl. I'm on Facebook. You're welcome to reach out to me anytime. Maybe you're going through the same thing. If we could build each other up. Maybe you want to continue to remind me I'm still worth something, because in all of this, I will tell you, I beat myself pretty hard for failing to see the problems as they are. I remember, my dad is not always the kindest person, but I do remember him actually saying once, true love is hard to find, son. But when you find it, you better hang on to it. I haven't given up hope. I'm reminded of what Tanya said. And I remember when my wife was going through the beauty academy, and it'll relate to something that Tanya said. When my wife was going through, cosmetology school, they had two different little story time from Prince Magnum. They had these two um, fashion shows, and the first one, she wasn't even capable of doing the stuff that she did, but they talked her into entering the fashion show. So on both of these fashion shows occasions, I was her model. The first one, she didn't give me a choice. Second one, I begged her to make me her model. And I watched videos of actual models to learn how to do it. And I went up on that stage every time and stole the show for that woman. And in every instance, she made me look absolutely amazing. I, my wife made me look beautiful. She made me look beautiful as a man in every instance. And I was actually against her going to the academy. On her graduation day, I got up in front of the whole school and said, this was a flashpoint for a lot of our arguments, but I supported you even though I didn't think it was the right thing to do. I said, but here you are now. You stuck with it. You proved me wrong. I'm sorry. I publicly apologized to my wife. I said, I'm sorry. I was wrong. So I publicly apologize again for not being diligent enough to pay attention to how bad it really was. And I will continue to publicly apologize. I thought you were okay. I didn't realize how bad it was. I, I'm sorry. As a human being, I failed. As a husband, I didn't pay close enough attention. I failed. I could have done better, but I didn't. But now it's up to the authorities to put the heat and pressure on, and so we could get you home and get you well, because I won't make the same mistake twice. You are my everything, and I have not given up hope. If after this you still feel the same way, that you don't want to be with me, that you don't feel like you're in love with me like that anymore, I'll understand. But at least then I know you have a better chance of living somewhat of a very productive life. And maybe, even if you don't want to be with me anymore, at least whoever you bring into your life next will be able to know what kind of amazing woman you truly are, far beyond the scope of this channel. Because you deserve it. You deserve to be held up that high. You took care of me when I was sick. You took care of me when I had my stroke. You were the only one who listened to me. You took care of me when I had my PTSD flashbacks. You took care of me whenever I was, sick and we didn't think I was going to live. You took care of me. You took care of me when I couldn't work. Hell, you just took care of me. But now it's my turn. I didn't know. Folks, continue to share these streams out. Continue to support Princess Faye, to build her up. Let's get her home. Let's get her safe. She is everything to me, and for damn good reason. So as we begin to let out, I remind all of you that if you have that someone special in your life, don't take anything for granted. Pay attention, because you never know. You might be the one saving their life. And trying to save one person's life is never a waste, because we don't know how many lives they're going to save. So now that I've said that, for everyone out there, especially my wife, if no one has told any of you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you, and have a happy 24. Thank you.